Hi there, I'm Drew Badger, the English Fluency Guide, and in this video I'm going to help you learn a little bit more about persuasion and how some words can have almost a magical effect. One of the things I talk about often on the channel and in the letters that I send to students is that you have to really go beyond definitions and just learning what words mean to understanding how some words are more powerful than others or even have an almost magical effect on the way we communicate. I'll talk more about this in future videos if people enjoy today's topic, but the general idea is to go beyond fluency and not just think about, again, remembering definitions, but really understand how to use words to communicate effectively, persuasively, to get people to follow what you're saying or to follow instructions or do something. There are lots of good reasons why you pick certain words over other words, and I thought this example today is a really good example of this. So I was actually watching a video today from Scott Adams, who's the creator of Dilbert, and I thought it was a really interesting example of specific words, and this is from CNN. So let me just read to you the article that this came from. I'll read the title of it for you. So this is from CNN, and it came out, I think, maybe a day or two ago. So Brazil, this is talking about Brazil. Brazil swipes at FDA, pushes hydroxychloroquine for pregnant women and children. Now, if you just read it very quickly, first of all, for people who might not know everything here, so to swipe at something, this is a phrasal verb meaning to you're trying to hit something or attack it in some way. It's not really a direct attack, but you're swiping at something the way a fly might come at you and you're trying to swipe at something. This means to swipe. The same idea of swiping a credit card when you drag it through that little credit card reader. So to swipe at something means to try to hit it, but you're attacking something in a sort of indirect or not really powerful way. So Brazil is swiping at the FDA, and the FDA is the American Food and Drug Administration. Now, what's happening here is there's a lot of kind of controversy and debate and discussion about different drugs that might work against COVID-19, coronavirus. And so one of these is hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine. And I'm not any authority. This video is not about whether this drug is good or not. I have no idea whether that's the case. But what's interesting is the specific language that CNN is using to describe this. I don't want to go over the whole article, but it's basically talking about how Brazil is choosing not to do something that the United States recommended. Again, it's not about me to decide whether Brazilian doctors should be doing something or not, or whether a drug is good or not. But again, in this case, CNN is kind of swiping at the doctors in Brazil. So they're almost taking a hit or kind of attacking them in a subtle way by the language they're using. So what they say is they're pushing, when they're pushing a drug on someone. So CNN is saying that Brazil swipes at FDA, pushes hydroxychloroquine for pregnant women and children. So Brazilian doctors, like us, basically saying the whole country is doing something really bad by pushing this. Again, it doesn't matter whether you like the drug or you believe in its ability to cure or prevent coronavirus, but the idea here is they're saying not that they're prescribing it, which is typically what you say when a doctor is telling you to use a certain kind of medication. So you go to the doctor, you say, I have this problem, and the doctor will prescribe certain medication for you. But a drug dealer, someone who's standing on the corner who's trying to offer you some kind of drugs or to sell you something, that person is described as a pusher. So a drug pusher. So to push kind of drugs on somebody, again, you're trying to move those drugs to push them on someone. And it's a negative idea and a very unprofessional way of describing that. So it's really interesting that CNN is using this language. And what you'll find more and more, if you look carefully, is that often news outlets have a particular slant. This means that they maybe care more about a liberal perspective or a conservative perspective. They support one of these or the other. And maybe the information they're providing it could be true, it could be not true, it really depends. But what's interesting is you can see very clearly that CNN is not happy with what Brazil is doing just by the title of the article. So they're not saying, here's an interesting news story about what Brazil might be trying to do or what is trying to do. They're saying that they're pushing this on pregnant women and children. So they're saying, this is a big problem. Here's a big warning. And here's something that we don't like about what Brazil is doing. So again, if you go and read the article, which is, it's not very long, but it's just talking about how Brazil needs to decide for itself what they want to do. And even if the Food and Drug Administration in the United States is saying one thing, we're going to do what we think is best. Now, CNN, maybe they are doctors. I don't know. Again, this is not about whether it's using a drug is good or bad or anything like that. But the whole point is looking very carefully at the language people use and how even something like a very well-known or respected news outlet like CNN, again, whether you like CNN or not, it doesn't really matter, but paying attention to the language and how they might say one word or use one word rather than something else. So remember that words have power. Words really have kind of a magic over us. And if you think about words and how you communicate, you can become a much more confident speaker. If you found this interesting, you'd like me to talk about more examples of how this works in my writing, or how you see other examples of this around, or even if you see any examples and want to let me know in the comments down below. I think these kinds of things are what I think about a lot when I write. I'll often write an email or something, or think about a lesson and how I want to teach it, and I'm very careful with my language. I might have a typo or something. This is like a grammatical error or something, but often I'm very careful about using one word rather than something else, because words mean something very different depending on what you're trying to say. Well, that has been it. If you have enjoyed this, do click that like button and subscribe to the channel. You can click on the bell icon to get more of this, but let me know in the comments if you have enjoyed this. I'm hoping that this is something that you'll be interested, rather than just more lists of 10 grammar points or something like that you want to know. Again, I'm trying to take you beyond fluency, where we're really talking about how successful communicators are being able to persuade, or really to communicate their ideas very well, because what we really want to do when we communicate is motivate other people to do what we'd like them to do, or to express certain ideas or other things like that we hope will motivate people. Well, again, that's it. If you have liked it, let me know in the comments below. And if you'd like to continue learning with the English Fluency Guide, please do these 3 simple things right now. 1. Click on this link to subscribe to my YouTube channel for over 500 free videos. 2. Click on this link to download my #1 ebook guide to fast fluency free. And 3. Click here to watch the most popular video on English fluency here on YouTube.